Have you ever wondered why some people keep winning in life while others, no matter how hard they work, stay stuck in the same place? It's not luck, it's not talent, it's because they follow certain rules of success that most people overlook. And today, I'm going to share with you the 7 rules of success you simply cannot ignore if you truly want to transform your life. Welcome back to the channel. If you're serious about growth, success, and building a life that inspires you, then you're in the right place. In this video, we'll uncover 7 powerful rules that the most successful people live by, rules that can change the way you work, think, and live. So grab a notebook, because you'll want to remember these. You see, success is not something that suddenly changes with trends, technology, or time. It's built on timeless principles, rules that have been guiding great leaders, entrepreneurs, athletes, and thinkers for centuries. Whether you look at the stories of ancient philosophers, legendary inventors, or modern-day billionaires, you will notice something remarkable. They may live in different eras, face different challenges, and use different tools, but the foundation of their success always comes back to the same timeless truths. These principles are not tied to a specific generation or industry, they are universal. And that's why they matter so much. Let me explain it this way. Imagine success as a game. Every game has rules. If you don't know the rules, you might still try to play, but chances are you'll be confused, frustrated, and defeated very quickly. But once you understand the rules, once you master the framework, then no matter where you play or who you play against, you have the ability to win. That's exactly how success works. The principles are the rules of the game of life. Ignore them, and you'll feel lost. Follow them, and suddenly you start gaining clarity, direction, and results. Now, here's the fascinating thing about timeless principles. They don't need to be reinvented every decade. They have already been proven over and over again by countless people who lived before us. Think about it: discipline, persistence, courage, and focus were essential for success hundreds of years ago, and they are just as essential today. When Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome, when Leonardo da Vinci painted, when Thomas Edison invented, and when Steve Jobs built Apple, they all relied on principles that never changed. The tools they used may have been different, the world they lived in may have been different, but the foundation of their success was the same. But here's the mistake most people make. They think success is about chasing the latest hack, the newest trend, or the shortcut that promises overnight results. Social media has convinced people that success comes in a box, that it can be copied by mimicking someone's lifestyle or routine. And yet, the truth is much deeper. Success doesn't come from shortcuts, it comes from principles. If you don't master the principles, no hack or trend will save you. But if you do, even when trends fade, you'll still be standing strong. And let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how some people, no matter what field they enter, seem to thrive? They can change careers, move to different industries, or face different challenges, yet somehow they always manage to land on their feet and rise to the top. Why does that happen? It's because they carry the timeless principles with them. They know how to stay disciplined when others give up. They know how to stay focused when distractions appear. They know how to persist when things get tough. They know how to lead with vision instead of fear. These are not skills tied to one profession. These are principles tied to life itself. And let's get real. Life will test you. It always does. There will be moments when you feel like giving up, when you face setbacks, when everything around you feels uncertain. That's when these timeless principles become your anchor. They give you stability when everything else feels shaky. They give you confidence when doubt creeps in. They give you direction when the road ahead looks unclear. Without them, every storm will shake you. With them, every storm becomes an opportunity to grow stronger. Think about persistence for a moment. This principle alone has built empires and changed the world. Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, but he never saw it as failure, he saw it as progress. That mindset is a principle. Or think about courage. Every great breakthrough in history came because someone dared to step outside the comfort zone, to challenge the norm, to take a risk others were afraid to take. That's not luck, that's principle. Or take discipline. No matter how talented you are, without discipline, your talent is wasted. Discipline is what turns dreams into habits and habits into results. And the beautiful thing about these principles is that they are available to everyone. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you look like, or what resources you have. Principles don't discriminate. They reward anyone who applies them consistently. Here's the truth. You don't need to chase every new motivational book, every viral success trend, or every so-called life hack. What you need is to anchor yourself to the timeless principles that have worked for generations. These are the rules you can't ignore, because ignoring them is like trying to build a house without a foundation. It may stand for a while, but the moment life shakes it, it will collapse. And that's why when we talk about success, we must always start with these unshakable, time-tested principles. Knowing the rules of success is one thing, but living by them is another. Principles are powerful, but unless they are put into practice, they remain nothing more than good ideas. And this is where most people get stuck. They read, they watch, they listen, they get inspired, but when it comes to applying what they've learned in their daily lives, they fall short. Success doesn't come from knowledge alone. It comes from action, from consistency, from turning principles into habits and habits into results. Think about it. Everyone knows discipline is important. Everyone understands persistence matters. Everyone has heard that focus creates breakthroughs. But why is it that only a small percentage of people actually see their lives transformed by these principles? It's because they don't just admire the principles, they apply them. They don't just agree with the truth, they live it out. And that is where the real difference is made. Let's break this down. Imagine someone wants to get fit. They read all the books about fitness, they watch endless workout videos, they even buy expensive gym equipment. But unless they actually show up every day, sweat, struggle, and stay consistent, all that knowledge means nothing. The same applies to success in any area of life. You can collect information, you can dream big, but unless you practice, you won't progress. And here's the key, you don't need to apply everything at once. Many people overwhelm themselves because they try to change too much, too quickly. Real success comes from small, consistent actions applied daily. It's about translating timeless principles into practical routines. For example, discipline might mean setting your alarm an hour earlier and actually getting up, not just talking about it. Persistence might mean making one more sales call after hearing 10 no's. Focus might mean turning off your phone for an hour to do deep work without distractions. These little acts may seem small, but when repeated over time, they become unstoppable forces. Think of it like planting seeds. Every action you take is a seed planted in the soil of your future. Reading about gardening won't make a tree grow. You have to plant, water, nurture, and protect the seed. Only then will it bear fruit. In the same way, principles like hard work, patience, and resilience are seeds, and your daily actions are the water that helps them grow. Without action, the seed stays buried in the ground and never turns into anything real. Now let me ask you this, how many times have you felt motivated after hearing a great speech or reading a powerful quote, only to realize a few days later that nothing actually changed in your life? That's the trap of inspiration without application. Motivation is the spark, but action is the fire that keeps burning. If you don't take that spark and turn it into fuel, it disappears as quickly as it came. The people who win are not the ones who feel motivated once in a while. They are the ones who build systems, routines, and habits that keep them moving forward even when motivation fades. This is why practical application matters so much. Success doesn't happen because you got inspired one time. It happens because you turn that inspiration into action day after day, week after week, year after year. That's how momentum is built. And momentum is the invisible force that separates dreamers from doers. And here's another truth: application is often uncomfortable. It requires effort, sacrifice, and consistency when no one is watching. That's why so many people avoid it. It's easier to stay in the planning phase, easier to keep consuming content, easier to convince yourself that you're making progress just because you're learning. But let me be real with you, learning without doing is procrastination in disguise. If you want success, you have to step into the discomfort of application. You have to practice the principles until they become a part of you. Take courage, for example. It's easy to say, be courageous. But in practice, courage means picking up the phone and making that call even when you're afraid of rejection. It means raising your hand in a meeting when your heart is pounding. It means stepping onto the stage even when your voice is shaking. Courage is not built in theory, it's built in practice. Or take persistence. You can talk about persistence all day long, but you only develop it when you face resistance and push through anyway. That's when persistence becomes real, when you want to quit but keep moving forward. This is the beauty of practical application. It transforms the invisible into the visible. It takes ideas and turns them into outcomes. It takes principles and shapes them into progress. And when you live this way, something incredible happens. You begin to trust yourself. You prove to yourself that you can be counted on to do what you say you will do. And that self-trust becomes the foundation for even greater success. When we talk about success, one thing becomes clear very quickly. There are rules you cannot afford to bend, skip, or ignore. These are the non-negotiables. They are the standards you must hold yourself to, no matter what. Because here's the truth: success doesn't come to those who treat it casually. It comes to those who approach it with commitment, with seriousness, and with an attitude that says, "This is not optional. This is who I am." Non-negotiables are the lines you draw in the sand. They are the boundaries that define your character, your habits, and your results. And the reason they matter so much is because life will always test your commitment. There will always be distractions, temptations, and excuses pulling you away from your path. If your rules are flexible, you will bend them. If your standards are negotiable, you will compromise them. But if you set non-negotiables, if you create values and principles that are uncheckable, then nothing can pull you off course. Let me paint the picture for you. Think about an athlete preparing for the Olympics. Do you think their training is optional? Do you think they wake up in the morning and ask themselves if they feel like practicing? No, their training is non-negotiable. Their diet is non-negotiable. Their discipline is non-negotiable. Why? Because greatness doesn't give you space for casual effort. Greatness demands a non-negotiable commitment to the process. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you want to build a business, your consistency is non-negotiable. If you want to master a skill, your practice is non-negotiable. If you want to live a healthy life, your habits are non-negotiable. Too often, people say they want success, but they treat their actions like suggestions instead of requirements. They work hard when they feel like it. They stay disciplined only when it's convenient, and they give up the moment things get hard, and then they wonder why success feels out of reach. But here's the powerful shift. When you decide what your non-negotiables are, you eliminate the debate. You remove the constant mental battle of asking yourself, "Should I do this today?" The answer is always yes, because it's not up for discussion. For example, if you decide that reading for 30 minutes every day is a non-negotiable, you don't wait for motivation. You don't wait for free time to magically appear. You make the time because it's a rule you live by. If you decide that honesty is a non-negotiable, you don't bend the truth when it's convenient. You hold yourself to that standard, no matter how difficult it might be. And let's be real, setting non-negotiables requires courage. It's easy to set goals when you know you can quit on them without consequence. It's harder to set a rule and tell yourself that breaking it is not an option. But that is exactly what separates the successful from the average. The successful live by principles they refuse to compromise. The average live by moods, feelings, and convenience. Now think about the people you admire most, the ones who built legacies, who changed industries, who inspired generations. They all had non-negotiables. For some, it was their work ethic. For others, it was their values. For others, it was their discipline. And these standards became the anchors that kept them steady, even when storms came. Because storms will come. Life will test your patience, your resilience, your faith. And in those moments, your non-negotiables become your backbone. They remind you of who you are, what you stand for, and why you cannot give up. But let's make this practical. You can start by asking yourself, what are the 3 to 5 rules I refuse to break, no matter what? Maybe it's waking up early. Maybe it's exercising daily. Maybe it's treating people with respect. Maybe it's never going to bed without working on your dream, even if just for an hour. These rules don't have to be complicated, but they do have to be uncheckable. Because once you lock them in, they shape your identity. And once something becomes your identity, it becomes automatic. Here's the beauty of non-negotiables: they remove excuses. When you say something is optional, you leave space for excuses to creep in. But when you decide it's a must, excuses lose their power. You no longer ask, "Can I?" You simply say, "I will." And that mindset shift is where transformation happens. Remember, success doesn't just ask for effort, it asks for commitment. It asks for a seriousness that says, "I will show up no matter how I feel." It asks for values that you guard like treasures. It asks for rules that you don't just talk about but live by every single day. Because at the end of the day, the difference between those who dream and those who achieve is this: achievers know they're non-negotiables, and they never betray them. So when we step back and look at everything we've covered, it becomes clear that success is not built on luck, chance, or quick shortcuts. It's built on timeless principles that never change, no matter how fast the world moves. It's built on practical application, the daily actions that turn knowledge into real transformation. And it's built on non-negotiables, the uncheckable standards that define who you are and what you stand for. These three foundations create the framework for every other rule of success you'll ever learn. The truth is, you don't have to wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect opportunity. You already have what it takes to start living these rules right now. Success doesn't come to those who simply want it, it comes to those who commit to it, practice it, and refuse to compromise it. And when you align your life with these principles, when you take consistent action, and when you set non-negotiables that keep you on track, you step into a level of growth and achievement that most people only dream about. Because in the end, success is not something you chase, it's something you create. Day by day, choice by choice, habit by habit. And once you live by these rules, you'll realize that success was never out of reach. It was always within you, waiting for you to claim it.